When did Charlotte's kids, Lily and Rose, become Blair Waldorf and Serena Vanderwoodson? Because why are they such brats? They are giving Charlotte the hardest time. Not just Charlotte, but they're giving their parents the hardest time. And it just seems like unnecessary storylines. Now, here's the thing, there is absolutely no way that Charlotte's character is going to be hunting in a bomb cyclone, the title of this episode, in a blizzard in New York. There's absolutely no way that she's going to be hunting for prophylactics in the dead of winter in New York in a blizzard for her daughter, for her 17-year-old daughter. I get that they want to be these new age parents, right? But this should have been something, a conversation that was had already. I feel like Charlotte would have had this conversation with her and would have prepared her with condoms already. This is so unrealistic now. They are begging for an audience that is never going to watch this show. They're trying so desperately to appeal to Gen Zers, and it's not going to happen. It just is not. You're not going to get that audience. Your audience is those who watched Sex and the City every Sunday. That's it. You're not getting younger millennials, and you're not getting Gen Z. You are not going to do it. They're not gonna ever watch your show. Like, maybe to critique it, it's so unrealistic because you're fighting for an audience you're never going to get. You're clamoring for these ideas to appeal to a phantom audience, and it's alienating your loyal audience. I think that's what's happening here. It is so unrealistic. Now, maybe in the dead of spring, but in the dead of winter, during a bomb cyclone, you're going from store to store and calling your bestie to get a condom for your 17-year-old daughter. It is just, and why are these kids such brats? Charlotte is so available to them, open to them, responsive and reactive to them, and they still give her a hard time. It's really cringe. It really is. It's so exhausting. Cynthia Nixon directed this. I think she did a really good job last episode. This episode wasn't awful, but the story, those who wrote this episode, like I always have a difficult time getting through episodes that don't have a lot of Seema and that don't have a lot of Dr. Naya. Now this one did have a really great this had a really great arc for Lisa about her wig and continuing on showing up for these women who had come to see her documentary, and what it took for her to brave the wintry weather and the hair issues and the changing of the guard, if you will, with the elder woman who understands that, she wanted to protect her hair and still make it to her event. Like, all of the things, that empowerment was really special. That was the best scene. And that's a good nod to Cynthia Nixon, who captured that moment the way it really needed to be captured. And the attire did a lot of the heavy lifting as well. But I'm glad that they positioned the elder woman there, as a nod to what Lisa was going through. I think that was a really great, a pivotal moment in Lisa's arc. Really was. And in an earlier episode, a couple of episodes ago, the challenges she had with her own daughter's hair. I don't know how vocal Nicole Ari Parker is in helping to elevate situations like this, but I think they're doing a good job in that respect. It seems like they're writing the women of color better than they're writing the characters we've grown to love over 20 years. I think they're doing better with these new characters than they are with the ones, we're used to. So that's a good thing. I think that that's definitely a nod to Cynthia Nixon as the director of this episode. And then Carrie, she sent an email to Aiden. Aiden's character is about to come up. And poor Aiden, he doesn't know what he's getting into. Because, first of all, Carrie broke Aiden's heart and he moved on, and he found peace with the breakup after a while. But this is a different Carrie that I think is, I won't say a lot worse, but I think this is a whole different person than even he saw in Dubai when they were in Dubai, or no, they were in Abu Dhabi. Sorry. I think this is a totally different Carrie. So I don't see how this could work. And he's a different Aiden with going through a divorce and having, teen kids. This is a different Aiden too. I don't see this working. I really don't see this working as a divorcee and a widow who it was really devastating how they broke up. I think he was good for her and she went for the awful guy, not the awful guy, the guy who was awful to her. I don't think it's going to work, but I guess we'll see. And they're just going to try to charm us into thinking, just like they did with Big, that this is her happy ever after. No, absolutely not. But then there was Steve. Steve finally said what needed to be said to Miranda, because for the longest time, Steve really did put up with a lot of her mess. For the whole relationship, really. Like, he had been a pushover. And I'm glad he said this is his house. He's the one who wanted to move to Brooklyn. He's the one who, restored everything that needed to be restored, and the furniture and the whole bit. And that she is the one who needs to leave. She is the one who wanted to end the marriage. He's still wearing his wedding ring until it is official and final. So I was cheering for him. Peace for Steve. And then they ruined the moment, really, because there's always this idea to make, I don't know, I think they should have relaxed more in the fact that Miranda messed up. But because they always want the men to lose respect of the audience, then they had planted like a condom wrapping that he had sex with someone in their bed, in their marital bed. They're meaning the writers. The writers just won't let the men live, really. Not the good ones. So, I think there was a good moment that was snatched away by them trying to ruin Steve's credibility, but everything he said needed to be said. And, Miranda has this showdown with Steve. Che breaks up with her. Now, they broke up last week too. I'm so glad when Cynthia Nixon directs that they break up, but they took a break last episode. This episode, they made it official that it is over. Hopefully, it's officially over, because Che is exhausting for sure. But we'll see. And she woke up in her bed at Dr. Naya's house. That only really scene that Dr. Naya had, really. That's awful. I want to see more of her, what's going on. But Dr. Naya was working on her divorce papers. She thinks it's going to be amicable. I don't. She thinks it's going to be amicable and really cut and dry, and I really don't think it will be, but we will see. And Miranda's, couch surfing at her house. She's gonna have to find a place to live because that house in Brooklyn is Steve's. I liked the wardrobe this week. I think Carrie looked fantastic as she was. Now, a lot of this is so rooted in unbelievability. Like, yes, New Yorkers go through blizzards and keep it moving, keep it pushing, move the snow to the side and that whole bit and keep it pushing. Like, New York never sleeps, I get it. But it had just started snowing and then the snow is already, like, it just, it's, they're cutting so many corners, I don't even get it. With the budget they have, I don't even get why they're cutting corners. So she had to go to this event where she was going to read her book to these widows. These widows had already paid. They were at the hotel, so they weren't canceling. And she calls Che to help her, to be her support. And the thing is that it seems like the writers are going to use Che. So instead of getting rid of Che completely, because Carrie has a connection with Che's going to stick around. Since Che and Carrie were co-workers, they shared a podcast. That'll be Che's connection to stick around despite breaking it off with Miranda. And so Che won't be gone completely because they have a connection with Carrie. Which, okay. Of course, they would want Sada Ramirez to stick around. They are a principal cast member. So I'm just hoping that they do not reunite, rekindle a relationship with Miranda. But Che does support Carrie at this event to help her get through it. It's a better episode than the other ones, not last week, but it's on the level of last week's episode. But again, that's a low bar. That is a low bar. Maybe Aiden will liven it up, and maybe when Kim Cattrall comes, she will liven it up and give us what we've been waiting for, but waiting and waiting and waiting for some good storylines is exhausting. I was almost remiss in the storyline with Rachel Dratch because she was so funny. She and Carrie had to connect for this widows convention. It's not a widows convention, but this event that Carrie had to go to. And Rachel is like, you don't remember we were meeting at Starbucks and we were going to write basically 27 dresses. It's actually really funny because she thinks that they stole their idea. And it's weird because 27 dresses, that's something that Carrie would have never. At this point, Carrie didn't even want to get married. She just wanted to date big, really, to be his partner. But 27 dresses, to name drop that, was just funny to me. But she makes a cameo. She's always funny. I mean, she just is. She can turn anything. I mean, the most boring line, she can make it funny. And so she was hilarious in this episode. But other than that, I mean, it is really challenging. It's really challenging. But listen, I've gone this far. I've got to finish it. Like, I've got to see the rest of the, especially with Aiden and Kim Cattrall coming. I'm invested at this point. So I got to keep watching to the end. So we have 5 more episodes. Hopefully with the addition with John Corbett as Aiden and Kim Cattrall as Samantha Jones. Hopefully they liven this up, and I want more Dr. Naya, I want more Seema, and I definitely want more Lisa. I want more of them. And I really need these kids to give Charlotte a break because I don't know why they're just giving her the hardest time when she's so sweet to them and she does everything for them, and they're stressing her out. But anyway, that was episode 6. All 6 episodes of And Just Like That are currently streaming on Max.